from each happily ever after, every wish upon a star. Let's break down the movies that shaped who we are, from memory lane to now and everything in between. The most famous of films to the ones we've never seen. Decade by decade, all the times we laughed and cried, and with a little pixie dust, they will all take flight, reliving the feelings, and we're trying our very best. And if they mean the same to you, please be our guest. So hop aboard, we would love to have you as we hang with a certain mouth, the whole gang too. If you love nostalgia stuff, we hope this does the trick. Thanks for joining us as we deep dive the magic.
Hi, and welcome back to the Deep Diving the Magic podcast. I'm KJ.
And I'm Jeffrey. And we are back today with the 83rd Disney feature-length film from March the 8th of 1967. It is a film called The Adventures of Bullwhip Griffin. The Adventures of Bullwhip Griffin is based on a novel by The Great Horn Spoon by Slid Fleischman. And like a lot of films that we've watched around this time, there's a whole cast of familiar faces of films that we've watched recently. But would you like to start us off with maybe a synopsis about The Adventures of Bullwhip Griffin?
Question. Do you want the synopsis from Disney Plus? Or do you want the IMDb synopsis?
I want the consistency of whatever you've been doing before. So.
Oh, I've been spicing it up then, because I've been doing a mixture. Okay, so I guess I'll go with IMDb because I've done more of those. Adventurous Bostonian Jack Flag heads west to join the California Gold Rush with the hopes of restoring his family fortune. But his dedicated butler, Bullwhip Griffin, sets out to find Flag and bring him back home.
And the adventures that come from it.
Yes. Literally, the short synopsis that Disney Plus gives you is a boy joins the California Gold Rush and with his trusty butler on his tail. That's all it says.
Well, this is a fun movie.
That's why I was like, do you want the long one or do you want the short one?
This is a fun film. Your synopsis is pretty on point. Do you have any opening thoughts or facts before we dive right in?
Yeah, so I had never heard of this before. And
it's a reoccurring thing lately.
Yeah, like you said, it was based on a book. But apparently the plot deviates from the book in many ways. Mm-hmm. There are subtle nods to other Disney films. In the saloon brawl scene, you can see Spot, a minor character wearing an outfit reused from Mary Poppins. And then it just basically what I found was Disney often reused costumes and props, especially in the 60s.
Yeah.
And then I thought this was an interesting fact because I think I asked you, had you ever seen it? And you said no. But if this film frequently aired on the Disney Channel in the 80s and 90s, and apparently many Gen X and elder millennials, which we would fall into, that's how supposedly our generation first discovered it, often during weekend marathons of classic Disney live action movies. And maybe I was more of a Nickelodeon kid during this time because I don't remember it.
I mean,
to be fair, like you were a Disney kid.
Yeah.
More so than I was.
It's a good film for that, though. It's a good film to be played for like the whole family and stuff.
I could see that, but like I'd never seen it before, but apparently it was supposed to have been known by our generation, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, sure. I'd never heard of it before, so I had no idea what we were getting into. But I can tell you, diving into the movie, that the opening reminded me of the Hoop-Dee-Doo Review.
We'll get there.
I was just wondering if you got that. Like,
we'll get there.
No, like the opening of it, like the music and stuff reminded me of like something that you would see in the Hoop-Dee-Doo Review.
That's right. No spoilers.
Did you also feel like that?
We'll see when we get there.
Okay.
You ready to dive right in?
Mm-hmm.
So the opening reminds me of the Hoop-Dee-Doo Review. I'm just kidding. But the no. All right, so we'll get it. So
stealing my thunder.
No. There's like a there's like a recurring like animated storybook like song that goes on throughout this film. Whenever they like want to say what's happening. So like the storybook song about Bullwhip Griffin starts during the opening credits. We learn that we are in Boston, Massachusetts, 1849.
Again, how many Disney films have we watched thus far that have some kind of ties to Massachusetts or Boston specifically?
Hey, it's the place to be. We start off with some fancy dressed people acting fancy. We see a boy that is referred to as Master Jack. He is playing with a bowl and a pan on his bed. It's like he's like mining for gold on his bed. He's practicing. He's reading a book entitled Bullwhip Brannigan, which is about somebody who goes west and all like his tales about going west and getting gold and stuff.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like a little like comic book of the time or something.
We learn that the lawyer is waiting downstairs. The lawyer is reading Jack's grandfather, but the gentleman's last will and testament. We learn that everybody's getting a lot of money. Everyone's getting large funds of money. Like the cooking staff is getting a lot of money. This person's getting a ton of money. The butler is getting $500,000, which is over $18 million today.
Yeah, and they talked about how in the will he said that he was going to get that sum of money, and he will not lift an eyebrow when you tell him this. And the guy's just standing there like,
he's the butler,
stone face, no expression whatsoever.
Griffin is his name. And then after everybody's excited about all the money, we learn that the residence and the remaining estate goes to the grandchildren, which is Jack and his sister Arabella. So there's like a giant age gap between these kids too.
Well, do you know how old she is? Because he was supposed to be 12.
She's got to be an adult.
But
I hope so. She's pretty much working in a brothel in a little bit. Not to get ahead of ourselves.
Well, maybe like early 20s.
Yeah, I guess.
Or she could have been 18 or something. I don't know how old she was supposed to be because it didn't really ever say, I don't think.
So the residents, so like the house and all the remaining estate are going to the grandchildren. But then we find out that the guy actually died broke, so no one is getting any money at all. And
the butler still doesn't make a single movement where all the other staff are like,
But you know who does make a movement is the picture of the grandfather on the wall. He's like smiling, like he's like.
Was it the maid, or I don't remember if she was maid or kitchen staff or whatever. I remember her looking up at the frame and being like, "And you probably thought this was funny."
Yeah, and he starts smiling. We learn that the mortgage on the house is long past due. And then so whatever, everyone's handling that situation. How they're taking it. The butler says, maybe it was the butler or the granddaughter. She's talking about like how like they're gonna have to like move on. I think it was the granddaughter.
They're gonna have to move out of there.
Yeah, they're gonna have to move on, and she says that people are 98% water. So if you don't stir them up once in a while, they become stagnant. So like the grandfather was just stirring them up.
Well, actually, the actual quote was, because I wrote this in my notes because I thought it was hilarious. Grandpa used to say that people are 98% water, and if you don't stir them up once in a while, they stagnate. I thought that was funny.
Yep.
So technically, that's something her grandfather used to always say.
Well, he stirred them up for sure.
I think he did it on purpose.
Oh yeah.
Or he just was like, "Oh, sorry guys, don't have any money."
So the granddaughter, who's Arabella, who is the lady from the Ugly Dachshund that we watched a few weeks ago. I mean, might as well bet.
That we hated so much because she was just a terrible person in that movie. But you changed your whole tune about her in this one.
All I said was she was pretty.
You're like, she's really pretty.
She is really pretty.
I'm sitting there thinking,
she's like classically pretty.
I don't remember you saying that at all in the Ugly Dachshund. You were just like, she is a terrible person.
She was a terrible person in that film. She's not a terrible person in this film, but she's like a naturally pretty person. Whatever. She's flirting with this butler dude, but the butler Griffin, but he is all business. They go upstairs and they learn that Master Jack, he's 12 years old and he's gone. He has left. He leaves them a note behind that says that he has set off to seek his fortune to pay off the expenses. So he's going out west to find some gold at 12 years old.
Can you imagine?
Butler Griffin vows that that he will find them. So then the butler goes off to try to find him. Okay, our story set. Here we are. Everybody is down at the docks trying to claim their tickets to California. Jack sneaks onto a ship, kind of like Jack did in the Titanic many years later. He sneaks his way onto the ship.
Ironic that his name is also Jack.
I know. That's why I wrote that. He is followed by a man who we learn is being traced by the police. Just some older gentleman that I refer to as the stowaway a bunch. I don't think I even know what his name is. They live it.
The rich guy or the judge?
No, the rich guy. The guy that was like.
That's who you refer to as the stowaway?
Yeah, because he sneaks onto the boat as well.
Okay.
So then people are fighting over like the last ticket. This one dude pays, I think he pays like $12,000 for it or something. I don't know if you wrote it down. Yeah, so the one passenger pays a bunch of money for this last ticket, but then he gets swindled by this guy who's the judge. So there's like this judge guy with like this beard that steals the ticket and throws it in his hat and gets
the guy that's the stowaway. I have it in my notes. His name's Quentin Bartlett. He was an actor.
Okay. So the actor guy that I'm going to refer to as the stowaway. But either way, this one other poor guy's doesn't get on the boat because this judge guy stole his ticket. We're up to date. We're good. The butler tells the captain that there could be a 12-year-old stowaway. So then they let the butler on, but they're like, well, you're going to have to get off before the boat takes off, but that doesn't happen. Jack sees the butler, but then he ends up getting knocked out. Who knocks him out? Was it the judge knocks him out? Whatever. They end up on the ship after like the ship sets. Yeah, the ship ends up setting sail, and they're on this ship going to California. The butler, the Jack, the rich guy, the actor, and the judge. They're all just like people that are on this ship. So like there's your main characters. They write to the granddaughter Arabella to inform her that they are. So basically, they con their way into being cooks for the captain. So the captain is all mad at them for like being on this, and they shouldn't be on this. But then like the captain's food isn't very good, so then the butler's like, "Well, I can cook for you." So they end up like getting hired on the boat as cooks. So they write to Arabella to tell her that like things are going smooth. Arabella is in the process of losing the house. They're like taking all the stuff out of the house. And then the intro song starts again, and this time they're singing about their journey to California. So we see that they make it to California. Okay. They run into the fake judge that we were talking about earlier. He's being sketchy. And then they find out that this actor stowaway guy, whose name is what?
Quentin
Bartlett. Okay, so Mr. Bartlett. They find Mr. Bartlett, and he's been like blindfolded, and he's like tied up in his room. His room has been ransacked. And Jack and Griffin like try to see what's going on, and then we learn that that he's been hijacked, and he had a map to the mother lode, like he had a map to where all the gold was. It's been stolen. Somebody stole the map.
I don't remember him being tied up.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
He kind of was.
Yeah.
But he got knocked out.
No. Not this dude.
Bartlett?
No, he was like tied up like to the chair with the blindfold because they heard him.
I thought he ended up having the map still, and it got stole later. Unless you're describing the scene I'm thinking of that's different.
No, they stole like this is where the judge steals the map.
Okay, yes. So the judge had set a fake fire. He had stuffed something in something so it looked like a fire, and then everybody was trying to like run away to get off the boat, and then the judge finds that guy and tells him because he's coming out, and then he goes, "Yeah, if you've got anything valuable, you want to make sure that you get it out." So then he follows him in his room, and when Bartlett gets the map out, he then I don't know, kind of look like a life jacket thing. He puts that on him. He's like, yeah, you want to go this way. And then once he's got his back to him, that's when he knocks him out with something. So he technically had tied him up in like a life vest, and then he gets knocked out. He is then found by Griffin and Jack, and he was like, I've been robbed.
Yeah.
And I think he tells him who it was. Because I think he knew at that point.
No.
Or maybe he didn't know who it was, but maybe he gave him the description.
Yep. He talks about how the fake judges who attacked him.
Oh, he actually knew it was a fake judge?
Well, he refers to him as like the guy with
the scar on his forehead.
Yeah. So then they, in this commotion of this fake fire, all this stuff, everyone's doing all this slapstick comedy, everyone's running all over the place. Mm-hmm. The judge escapes in like a lifeboat to get away. Mm-hmm. So he's no longer on the ship, but they make it to California. In California, we learned that tub baths are $10. Just bring your own soap. And like all the people are just like trying to make money. Everyone's just trying to make money because they're starting their new lives in California to find this gold. Mm-hmm. Quentin, the stowaway actor guy, he's trying to make money through theater, trying to like again. But then Griffin's like, well, I'm gonna make some money cutting hair. So he sets up like a hair cutting thing, like a bench in the middle of the town, and he's like starts cutting people's hair, and he starts making money. Mm-hmm. They're looking for the judge. They decided that they're gonna split up. So actor guy's going one way, and Griffin and Jack are going the other way. They're trying to find this judge that has the map from the mother lode. But then we see that there's like this large mountain-looking man who goes by the name Mountain Ox. Mm-hmm. He's looking for his haircut, and he bullies Griffin. So Griffin ends up just he just ends up punching him and knocking him out. Mm-hmm. Causes this big scene. Remember that for later. This is the first time that Jack calls him Bullwhip Griffin, because in like the book, Bullwhip Brannigan knocked out somebody, so he gives Griffin the name Bullwhip Griffin. And then like they're trying to get Griffin to become like part of the bare knuckle championship, but he's like, no, I don't want anything to do with this. Great. So there. So they leave this part. They get on like a stagecoach, try to get into town to figure out where this judge is. But the stagecoach that they're on gets hijacked by a bunch of like local horse riding villagers, whatever. Mm-hmm.
I believe at this point in American history, I don't know if the like territorial lines between what would have been America mm-hmm. and what would have been Mexico were like specifically drawn, or if we were like still in the midst of gathering it.
No.
But it was like Mexican cowboys that were pretty much talking about how they'd come and stole their land. They were trying to steal their gold, so they were stealing it back. Yeah.
So they hijacked this stagecoach, but then we see that also on the stagecoach was the fake judge. So Jack, Griffin, and the fake judge are all aboard. So these men, the hijackers, steal the passengers like all their valuables, and then they like take the judge's like jacket.
They take all of their jackets.
Yeah. Yep.
The judge doesn't want to part with his jacket, and he said, "You'll have to take it off of me when I'm dead." And then they were like, "Well, I'll shoot you." And then he was like, "Well, you'll have to shoot me." So they do shoot at him. And then at that point, he had already taken his jacket off. And then he sees that they shot a hole through his jacket. And then they took his jacket and everybody's jacket and took off with all their stuff.
Yeah. So then the horse gang leaves.
I was surprised they didn't take the stagecoach.
No, they left the stagecoach.
And they didn't take their horses either. So they just kind of
their stuff and went petty thieves. But then we learned that the map, because like the guys like confront the fake judge to get the map. but he's like, the map was actually sewn into the jacket that was taken by the bandits. So then Jack and Griffin are like, we're not getting back on the stagecoach because we know that once they find this jacket,
they're just like, well, we're not going to go with you. And they're like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, there's no reason for us to keep going on. And then they kind of go off, and that's when Griffin is like, yeah, we're just gonna go on. And Jack's like talking to Griffin like, why aren't we gonna, like, we're not gonna try to keep going on. He's like, no, because the guys are just gonna dump the jackets later. We're gonna get them.
Yeah, so they're like, once they realize that there's nothing for worth inside of this jacket, they're just gonna dump this jacket. So these dudes are gonna find the map.
Yeah.
So they go off on their own to try to find the map.
But then you see Higgins being like, do I go with these people or do I follow them?
The judge, whose last name is Higgins, decides that he's going to follow them.
Mm-hmm.
They do find the map, but so does a gun-yielding judge. He tricks Jack into returning the jacket.
Yep.
So the homeboy's got his jacket back with the map.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, the song animations return, and it's like them like trying to find the judge.
Yeah,
they're like going through town trying to find this guy.
Mm-hmm.
They find the judge, who is now faking to be a dentist. He is a dentist now, so it's dentist Higgins. But he's about to be hanged in minor's court, noose around neck, like about to be hanged in minor's court.
Mm-hmm. Sitting on a horse.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
No,
the terrifying feelings you would feel.
So, but they like stick a bunch of like paper or whatever in Jack's mouth to make it look like he has like an abscessed tooth, and they trick the minor's court into having dental assistance done to Jack by Higgins. So then Higgins is like, I'll give you this map if you can get me out of here alive. Like they're like talking in like a side room or whatever.
Yeah, he's acting like he's looking at his tooth.
Yeah. So then they're like, all right, we'll help you, whatever, we'll do our best. But he's like, you have to give us the map first. He doesn't want to give the map first. He ends up giving him the map, but then we see that back when the stagecoach was hijacked, the gunshot that they shot through
the very most important part of the map.
Yep, they shot through like the end, like the X on the map.
Which at that point,
the marks the spot is gone now.
Yeah, but wouldn't you know the marks?
No, because it was like a whole like big spot. Was gone out of the map.
You still have the relative vicinity.
Yep. So it's been shot away from the stagecoach. So now they don't know where they're going. So, the miners' court comes back and they order Jack and Griffin to bring back the judge because he got caught for stealing their money. Shocking. And that they're going to hang him now. And they actually force Griffin and Jack to dig this dude's grave.
Yeah.
So like, you go, like you're going to go dig this grave.
We're going to get his trial and stuff ready for his hanging.
So while they're digging this grave, Jack asks Griffin why he won't marry his sister Arabella. They talk about whatever.
Because I see how you
being
look at
proper.
her.
Yeah.
The picture I put up of her out of the side of your eye.
So then they're digging this grave, and then while they're digging this grave, they uncover some gold nuggets. And they're like, holy cow, we found some gold.
Yeah. And apparently that's not how it really happened. So apparently, like, during the gold rush, people would be finding like golden flakes and like
they found like a whole like
Jeff.
chunk. Yeah.
Golden powder and golden flakes. But for the movie specifically, Disney likes to really amp things up, so they had nuggets instead. But really, they weren't really finding nuggets in real life during that time.
It was a whole like big thing. So we they found some gold. They're all excited. It's time, and then it cuts back that the hanging is about to commence. They say that this guy's not going to need a dentist where he's going. So there you go. But then like word gets back to the miners that these two people found gold. So like it starts like this like crazy commotion and slapstick and hijinks about everyone's going into a frenzy about these two people that found gold in the grave. So they all run away, which leaves this dude, Higgins, the now dentist, formerly judge, con man, on the back of a horse with a noose around his neck, and everyone's leaving. There's more hijinks. It ends up happening that like the horse runs off, but like the thing comes off the tree, and he's just like being like going through town with like a noose on him. But he lives. So then the song animation returns, and it's about Arabella, who's sailing over to find her brother and Griffin. So she's coming to California as well. Which is a weird thing to think about, that you're sailing from Boston to California, but whatever. I just thought of that. So
yeah.
Whatever. She gets to California. The town guys are all excited to have her. They're all flirting with her. They're like putting like their jackets down for her to walk in the mud. They're like all like trying to get her to stay with them.
Yeah, because before she had left, when she told the maid her plans, the maid was like, well, you know, California is really no place for a lady. So basically, in California at this time, they were making it like there was nothing but hussies out there. And then you have this lady showing up. And that's why she turned everyone's eyes.
It's true. Then the song animation comes back, and it's about a Disney snowstorm is coming, and about how all the gold miners are running out of gold, and they're going to return back to town. So then we see that it's the wintertime, and we see that Griffin and Jack are back on a ship being returned to San Francisco. With their gold, but like they have like their gold like hidden like in like a belt in like a belt underneath their clothes. Yeah. So you just kind of like look like you're like Santa Claus because you have like a big belly, pretty much. But then we see that the judge slash dentist slash con man slash survived his own hanging guy, Griffin, Higgins, is dressed up as like a Middle Eastern person, right? Like he has like a big like hat on, and he's like,
well, I would say Asian person.
Okay. And he is on the ship trying to find, like he's trying to get Jack and Griffin's gold. He grabs Jack, forcing him into the cabin, which is where he realizes that it's Higgins all along. And this is where he tells Jack that it's actually his gold because it was found in his grave. So technically, that since it was in his grave, you have to share the wealth. Jack is like, well, I don't know, but I guess so.
Sure.
Yeah. So then Jack escapes and screams for help. So then there's a bunch of hijinks that ensues, but it causes Jack to fall overboard. Like he falls off the ship in like this craziness. So then Griffin dives in after him, but the problem is that like this money belt of this heavy gold is dragging them down to the bottom, because even you were like, wow, he's going down deep.
Yeah, because realistically, I don't think you would have sank like that.
Oh, he was going down and down and down like he was covered in cement. So they're forced to like take this heavy gold belt off and like drop it into the bottom of the ocean. Otherwise they would have sank to their death. And they surface where there's like some like flotation devices. What do you want to call those? I don't know, but like
the lifesaver.
Yeah,
things.
like lifesavers to pull them back onto the ship, but they don't have any more gold. They've lost the gold again. So they have been saved, but there's no gold. The judge then jumps into the water to find the gold, and they then arrive back in San Francisco, like the ship has landed. What?
The ship has made port.
Yeah.
You talked to it like it was flying.
Yeah.
The ship has landed.
That's right. So then they're like, all right, we're gonna make money again cutting hair. But they're like, oh, haircuts are only 50 cents a haircut now because everybody doesn't have any money. Nobody has money now. Like the gold rush has been a fail, and it's the winter and nobody has any money, so nobody's getting any money. So they're like, oh man, we're super hungry. They are gonna risk the consequences of stealing some food. But then they see like across the street there's like this like carnival barker guy trying to get everybody to come into this saloon.
Mhm. The best steaks in town.
The best steaks in town, and there's like girls dancing, and everyone's like, "Ooh."
And Griffin tells Jack, "Well, if we're gonna get thrown out of somewhere, let's go to the place that's got the best food."
Yeah, so like they're gonna con their way into this food, but then as they're about to sneak in, we see that this big strong man who's comically two people, one guy in each hand, throwing these guys out for trying to steal food. Not them, but
because they
other
just
people.
ran up a big tab of bills.
Yep. So then they are getting thrown out. So then they decide that they're going to change their minds. Like they're not going to steal food from this place because this tough SOB is throwing people out.
But it was the Mountain Ox again.
So then,
and they knew who it was.
Griffin, not yet, because Griffin gets recognized by the big strong bouncer who's the Mountain Ox guy from earlier that he knocked out. So like now they're like, oh, I knocked this dude out earlier, but now he's twice as scary as he was before, and he's got a vendetta against him for knocking him out earlier. So then
rematch.
He wants a rematch, but in the background you see a sign that says like now performing the Boston Bell, which is foreshadowing for later. But then the shop owner guy comes out. I don't even know the shop owner's name. He's just some rich shop owner guy who also comes out, and he's like, "Hey, I offered you money for this fight earlier. Let's do this fight because we're gonna make a ton of money." Like he's like we can make a ton of money off of this fight. Like let's market it right. And then Griffin is kind of like forced into doing this boxing match, even though he doesn't want to, but he needs the money. So then they're like, all right, well, we need to eat some food.
Yeah, we can't do it on an empty stomach.
We can't do it on empty stomach. I mean, we need a place to train, so they give him a place to stay. They give him some free food. They give him some free drinks. So they end up conning their way into this stuff. They con their way into free dinner. And we learn that the fight is going to be $2,000. It's going to be a $2,000 purse, winner take all. So they're like, oh, great money. We've been out of this, and this is where I say right here, it's a stage show like the Hoop-de-Doo review. So there's your answer about the Hoop-de-Doo review that you said.
Yeah, I thought the beginning, the music of it reminded me of something from the Hoop-de-Doo review. This also reminded me of
they're like up there dancing and Hoop-de-Doo reviewing, which is a great stage show. If you've never done it, I recommend it to everybody to do. You get your money's worth. It's a great time. I think it's
lots of food.
I think it's the longest running stage show in America.
Lots of food, dessert included.
Drinks included.
Yeah, even alcoholic drinks. Well, certain ones.
Yeah, but. and the entertainment is fantastic. The gentlemen are all excited. Like everybody in this establishment is really excited because it's time for the Boston Bell. So then the Boston Bell comes out, and we see that it is of course Arabella. Arabella is there, and she's performing. So then Jack's like, I know that voice. And then he looks up and he realizes that it's his sister. And then she sees her brother and she runs off stage mid-performance.
Well, he tells Griffin, and Griffin's like, what?
Yeah.
And then he stands up over everybody like, ooh, not her.
So then she runs off mid-performance to go see her brother. And then this is where she also sees Griffin. But then she's forced by the shop owner to perform another
song
number. Everyone's excited. And then so that all happens. But then Griffin is talking to the owner guy afterwards, and he's like, I will only fight for a $1,000 advance and a place to train and stay.
Yeah.
And they end up whatever. They figure out the money. Yeah. We find out that it's going to happen in 1 week, and it's going to be the fight of the year. Arabella is upset, but Griffin is like, I'm doing this for the money to like send us all home. And then Arabella is like, call off the fight or she quits. And then Jack and Arabella are saying that they refuse to sail back to Boston if he wins because it's going to be blood money. So they're all just bickering back and forth. Arabella and Griffin are like playfully arguing. And then he punches the punching bag very hard because he's jealous.
So then Arabella realizes this is how I'm going to get him to train. Yep.
So this is when they're like, all right, we're all in. They're all into this together. And then we learn that it's 20-1 odds that this Mountain Ox guy is going to win. So they hire a new bookkeeper to take care of their money. For the money for all these bets.
An extra bookkeeper
to assist
so
with
much
all
money
the
coming
betting.
in.
And of course, the bookkeeper is
Bookkeeper Higgins.
former judge, former dentist, former
Jack of all trades.
yeah, former at the gallows with a noose around his neck.
Former dead man.
Former guy who dove in the water after someone else's money.
Yeah.
Of course, is Higgins, the judge. So we learn that, and whatever, his beard shaved off. He's wearing one of these like bookie hats. I don't know how else to describe it. Like he's like the dogs playing poker hats.
Yeah.
But it's 20-1 odds that the Mountain Ox is going to win. So then Arabella and Griffin are flirting during practice. While they're practicing their boxing, they're like dancing back and forth while like boxing each other.
Mm-hmm.
The stowaway actor guy from earlier shows up and he tells Jack that he located some gold nuggets and he's going to bet them on the fight. He's going to bet them on Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
This is here. I'll let you talk about this one right here. But Arabella, like while they're fighting, she like punches and knocks out Griffin.
Yeah.
And what happens?
Like a little Cupid, like Valentine's Cupid, floats across the screen.
Yeah, like a little like animated Cupid like flies by like after she knocks him out,
which becomes a running bit.
Yeah. The Cupid has struck, but the fight is about to start. People are stopping to tell Griffin that they wagered all of their money on him. It is now 50-1 odds. But the Ox guy is not nervous at all. He's drinking his beer. He spills his beer or he spits his beer all in Griffin's face.
Yeah, he blows the foam onto Griffin.
Yeah, like he's very much just like he's
a jerk.
Yeah, and he's confident.
Yeah.
There's no stranglehold holds. There's no stopping a man when he's down. But basically, like the round will stop if somebody gets knocked down, and then they have 10 seconds to get up or something like that. Mm-hmm. So Griffin goes to shake Ox's hand, but then he ends up throwing him. There's a bunch of hijinks. It's very Three Stooges. It's all over the place. Mm-hmm. Bullwhip is running around dodging punches, but Griffin, he's not facing the Ox. He tries to dance around to wear him out. There's more hijinks. It's just like it's just nuts. But then the winner of round one is Mountain Ox. Mountain Ox does win the round one, and Griffin is out cold. He is out. He is down for the count. Yep. And it cuts to the bookkeeper's office, and the sketchy judge / bookkeeper / dentist / dead guy is he's starting to steal the money out of the safe. He is packing his bags. He is stealing the money. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Griffin is still knocked out. So then Arabella goes in and she kisses him to wake him up. And what happens?
Cupid baby.
Just flies across the screen. A little
naked Cupid baby.
Cupid
baby butt.
But he's awake, and it's time for round two. There's more dancing. There's more hijinks, and the winner of round two is Bullwhip Griffin. The Ox man is very mad. You can tell because he's blowing steam out of his nose, and his eyes are really red.
His whole face turns red, but it's like a weird,
like a Looney Tunesy thing. Yeah, like a Looney Tunesy thing. He's blowing smoke out his nose. Round three, there's more hijinks. The Ox guy punches Griffin so hard that he falls out of his shoes and he flies back and he bounces off like the wall and goes flying back. But on his flyback, he knocks over the Ox.
Yeah, and at one point, Griffin was bouncing around in this match, and it looked like he had visited the absent-minded professor and put flubber on the bottom of his shoes.
Yeah.
Because I was like, there's no way anybody's going to jump that high, but whatever.
Oh, yeah, he's like jumping. So whatever. So Ox dude punches Griffin. Griffin goes flying off the wall, but when he bounces off the wall, he like drop kicks Griffin, or Ox, who goes flying off the other wall. So then they're both knocked out. Mm-hmm. But then Griffin is the first to get up, like, so they're like counting down. They're like 10 or 30, 29, whatever.
Because Arabella kisses him again.
So then Griffin is the first up because Arabella kisses him and
Cupid baby
flies by.
Cupid baby naked butt.
And we learned that Bullwhip Griffin is the winner. He is the new bare knuckle champion. As
he staggers to the toe of the line.
Yep. And then the shop owner, though, he decides that he's going to run off with the money. He's going to run off with the money before people take their bets. But then he can't because the fake judge / dentist.
The other guy comes out and says, "The bookie took it."
Yeah, the bookie took all the money.
The bookkeeper's got your money,
So,
all of it.
Yeah, it's all gone. He's like putting it on a horse. And then this starts like a giant scuffle. But then this scuffle starts a fire. It like knocks over like whatever.
I think the judge had set the fire.
No.
Are you sure?
He like knocks over like the stove.
I thought he was the one that did it though, technically.
I don't. Okay, whatever.
On his way out.
So the building's on fire.
Mm-hmm.
The Hoop-a-Doo review is on fire. Not really.
No, what was it called? The Lucky
Nugget.
Lucky Nugget.
Because
I kept thinking it was the place in Magic Kingdom, but that was like the Crystal Horseshoe or something. Was what I was thinking.
The
of.
Diamond Horseshoe.
Oh yeah. Crystal Horseshoe.
But
wasn't it? Isn't the Crystal Palace?
Yeah. Whatever. So the men are going after this bookkeeper / judge / dentist / dead guy. But the fire causes the horse to run away, and the horse has all the gold, which causes more hijinks. The place is going up in flames quick. They are now trying to get all the stuff out, and they're like grabbing all the stuff, but then Ox throws the thing, and the whole thing catches on fire.
Well, he goes in, and he tells Arabella, he's like, "I'm fired," and she goes, "No, you're not. I'm the boss now. Mm-hmm. Start getting stuff out of here." So he picks up the piano and takes off with it. But then she's like, "Be careful, it's on fire." And then he tosses it into the pile of everything that they just saved, which causes everything else to catch on fire.
Yep, so all the stuff is on fire. But then Jack, the 12-year-old hero, he returns with the horse and all the gold.
Mm-hmm. Because nobody noticed Jack was gone.
The shopkeeper wants to steal it all, but the Ox guy says that he only takes orders from Arabella now.
I only take orders from the boss.
And then it cuts to the animated song, which is where we learn that Bullwhip Griffin and all of his money built up San Francisco into the city we see today. And that's the end of the film.
Yes, but it talked about like all the different plans. There was a statue of Bullwhip. And then they talked about how, like, in the plans, there was even plans for a golden bridge. Keep that in mind.
The Golden Gate Bridge?
Yeah, keep that in mind. It's going to come in
the next film we watch.
It's going to come up very important soon.
Yes.
I know, you just stole my line for the next film.
I mean, that's also one of my notes for the next film.
Oh, shit. You weren't even supposed to take notes for that one.
We don't watch movies early. What are you talking about? But either way, so I thought this movie was incredibly fun. I think this was so slapsticky and
I'm
fun.
glad you enjoyed it.
I would watch it again. But do you have any thoughts or ratings on the Adventures of Bullwhip Griffin?
So IMDb gave it a 6.4 out of 10. I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Okay, why?
Some of it I thought was dry.
No, it was fun.
Some of it was humorous, and then some of it I thought was dry. It didn't hold my attention as well as I think it was holding your attention.
I was loving it, laughing, having a good time.
I realized.
Do you have any facts or anything?
I already did my facts at the beginning.
Okay. Does this burn its way onto your list upon a star?
The only fact that I didn't talk about was the actor Bartlett, because he kind of spoke in like a Shakespearean dialogue. Mm-hmm. He was actually recast by the guy that played him during the film because whoever they hired before, I guess, was difficult to work with, and he couldn't really grasp the Shakespearean dialogue.
I know that there was a part in this film that they had to
So that was not the original person that was cast.
I know there was a part in this film where they had to like reshoot it or like redub over because it was not the most appropriate dialogue or whatever. Yeah. So they edited it for cultural. So does the Adventures of Bullwhip Griffin, does it go down in history on your list upon a star?
It does not whip its way onto my list.
So then what is your list through 83 films?
My list is 101 Dalmatians, The Parent Trap, Sleeping Beauty, Dumbo, Lady and the Tramp, That Darn Cat, The Three Caballeros, Moon Pilot, The Shaggy Dog, and Peter Pan. So, does this whip its way onto your list?
I don't know. I like this movie.
Hmm.
I laughed at this movie.
You did, and you don't always.
I enjoyed this film.
Hmm.
But did I like it more than that darn cat?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like you laughed more. And it's this Griffin is the same guy that played the agent in
The
that darn
detective in
cat.
that
So I
darn
mean,
cat? All right, whatever. So, yes, this is making my list upon a star. Sorry, that darn cat. You had a good run.
that
The
darn cat's still on my list.
Well,
So
there
it's
you go.
it's still in the top 10 somewhere.
Yeah. So my list upon a star is the
Put it
100.
at the end. Really?
Yeah, it's not beating Sleeping Beauty. Whatever. I don't want to get ahead of myself
Okay,
here.
okay.
So my list upon a star is the 101 Dalmatians, Mary Poppins, Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, Babes in Toyland, Pinocchio, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Sleeping Beauty, and our new friend, The Adventures of Bullwhip Griffin, which we'll see how long that stays on my list.
I feel like you talked about liking this one more than Babes in Toyland, and
No, I didn't. Babes in Toyland is gonna make Babes in Toyland is gonna make it to the 90s on my list upon a star. I mean, maybe we haven't gone into the 80s yet, but like the 70s and 80s have not been here. I loved Babes in Toyland. Cheap plug. Watch Babes in Toyland. Watch the Adventures of Bullwhip Griffin. Great films.
Okay.
They're on Disney Plus. We are a completest podcast. Send us an email at deepdiveinthemagicpod@gmail.com. But thank you again for hanging out with us. Thank you for being a judge / dentist / con man / bookkeeper / professional diver for gold / Walking Dead man. But either way, we are on Instagram. We are on
Escape
YouTube.
artist.
We are on Spotify. And again, our email is deepdivingthemagicpod@gmail.com. Our next deep dive is film number 84 from July the 19th of 1967. It is a film called The Gnome Mobile. We're going to be driving in the Gnome Mobile next time.
Thanks for deep diving the magic.
Bye.
Bye.